Hey guys, it's Tom Box. It's time for me to put money in your pocket. By that, I'm stretching out your dollar that you're putting into the upcoming YCS because you're not going to get screwed over by any of these most common illegal plays that are happening right now. So from Justice Hunters, there's been a lot of illegal plays that happen, and then whenever they happen, it's such a short time frame for you to correct it because usually the smallest illegal gameplay here leads to the biggest problem in the game state where it's probably just gonna end the game because there's not a lot of time to catch it. So we're gonna go over the most common ones here today and even throw you guys the classic ruling question at the end. So you know what, hit that like button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell, and I wish you best of luck on your runs. Now here we go. Before we jump in, guys, check out this mat here. This is designed by me. This is a collab with Imperium Duelist. Link down in the description if you guys want to get a copy. But have you noticed that in the latest animes, the MCs all have a crazy aura? And I want to present that on a mat. So this is the RMC aura. This is the Champions aura. There's a red side, there's a blue side. This is the blue side right here. And it is really, really vibrant, very, very epic. And if you guys want to express that yourself, need a new cloth mat, check it out at imperiumduelist.com. And if you guys want more stuff to express your aura, don't forget to check out MST.TV because, of course, we have the fanciest aura sleeves available, which would be the LT Instinct or the LT Ego. And if you guys want your heart ablaze, well, we have those available as well. So check it out, guys. This is the Champions aura mat. Now, let's get into the ruling here. So this is how I'm gonna play it out, guys. This is gonna be find the illegal play. Hopefully you guys can catch it. This one's gonna be a bit of a warm-up round, so it's gonna be a little bit easier. So I'm gonna play it out as I remember it is. So I'm gonna represent the player that played as a turn player. So I'm gonna activate the Dracotail and I'm going to summon out the Yugioh. My opponent's seeing that, hey, he's gonna go into some rank 5 plays. I want to stop him. So they're just starting with activate the Izuna. And I'm like, oh, they activate something in hand too, so I can activate my Izuna. So Izuna, Chainlink 3, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1. We're gonna resolve Chainlink 3, summon out the Izuna, Chainlink 2, summon out their Izuna, and I'm gonna summon out both of these, the Dracotail and the Yugioh. Now, new chain, since I'm turn player, I get my optional triggers first. Izuna effect, I'm going to chain that as first, and then they're gonna chain theirs on top of mine, so they're gonna be Chainlink 2. So Chainlink 2 resolves, putting their Lupus into the graveyard, and I'm gonna put my Lupus into the graveyard. And as a result, as the turn player, I get, you know, activation priority at the end of the chain. I'm gonna activate my Lupus on the quick effect, and then they're gonna activate their Lupus in chain because both of them met their condition. Special summon out their Lupus, and I summon out my Lupus, and I'm like, I need to get my Nash Knight before they get out their Nash Knight. So I'm like, well, let's do this. Let's gotta put ourselves at a stalemate. I'm gonna chain my Lupus right away. They chain their Lupus, and then they overlay, and then I overlay. And do you guys see the problem? I know some of you guys are probably trying to type, but hey, if you guys didn't catch it, so putting out, say, oh, I guess I don't have a second Nash Knight available right here in the deck, but say they got their Nash Knight, I got my Nash Knight. Say this is my Nash Knight, okay. What was the problem right here? The problem is that the Lupus on my side, the turn player side, that one was completely illegal. I can't activate to create a quick Xyz effect because that only occurs during the opponent's turn. Interestingly enough, another fun fact, a lot of people think that that effect is actually only during the main phase, but that's not true. You can technically wait till the battle phase. The summon effect, yes, is stuck in the main phase, but the other effect where you get to just do a quick Xyz effect during your opponent's turn, you can immediately after this effect resolves Xyz summon using this card. So yeah, that's pretty nasty. But that being said, since mine was illegal, they technically get their Nash Knight out first, but it doesn't mean that you're losing. I feel like some people get like caught up in the chase, so this is kind of a reminder how to play a little bit better. Just because they get their Nash Knight out first doesn't mean that you're screwed. Sure, they can absorb some of your monsters, but think about what your board state looks like right now. All they can do is absorb one of your cards. Yes, they can quickly take one, but it doesn't mean that you can't. They can probably take your Dracotail because this is the one that gives you the additional card that maybe you can dig into a lantern. But as for the other play, yeah, you can't go into Nash Knight and just race Nash Knights against your opponent. I've seen these races kind of go on, and sometimes it's because you don't actually have the extra body, and so when they take your card, yes, it hurts a little more, but when you're in a situation where you have more monsters than your opponent, I don't think that matters all that much. You don't need to race them. Take a breath. just relax, look at the game state. All they're able to do is take one of your cards, and so you can, one, dodge an illegal play because you illegally activate this, and this is very common. I don't know, there's like 3 to 4 that was caught over like the OTS, so make sure you guys don't mess this up and get yourself a really, really hefty penalty. Sure, it's a PE minor, but if you keep doing it, like you get caught up in the moment, then you're going to get a game loss eventually. So yeah, if you actually look at the game state, I don't really think I care all too much about my opponent taking 1 or 2 of my cards, because if I'm losing Joel Call, I still technically can normal summon another copy once I overlay into a Ripper. If I go into a Ripper, what are they going to stop me with now, right? If I get a Ripper, I can just detach, and since I get to set up my back row as well, it doesn't feel all that bad. I can draw a copy of Joel Call, I can normal summon the Joel Call, and still create a second overlay if I really needed to, and get the additional search too, if I haven't even gotten into, say, my K9 engine. So that is the first one. Take a step back, read up on what you need to do so you don't, mess yourself up. But of course, putting this card up does put a little bit of pressure on you, but you can still put up your Nash Knight and then still put up the Ripper so that you're really not all that far behind. All right, play number 2. Here we go. This is the most common illegal play that most people kind of get away with, so I want you guys to pay attention. If there's anything to take away from this video, catch this one. So at the end of the turn, I summoned out Magnemite by its effect. I'm going to use that to add, say, an Urgla into hand, okay? And draw for turn, I add the trap or draw the trap. And so standby main phase, I'm going to activate 5 mana to fuse with my Dracotail. So I'm going to fuse, from hand, and I'm going to summon out my Arthalion. Arthalion effect, I'm going to use that to add back the 5 mana since that didn't really get to use the effect, and the effect of Urgla will set the Rahu so I can start my entire chain of summons with this. So set the Rahu and add this back into my hand. Activate the Rahu, and I'm going to send to the graveyard. This time I'm going to send a Lucius because Lucius can extend the play even further, and I'm going to send out with a 5 mana. Both of these will now trigger, using that to summon a Gulamel. So I have Gulamel and the Arthalion. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. I use that to set up my horn, and I can use this to add a Ketu onto the field. So I can get another search. Activate the Ketu to add, I think at this point, I can just add a Dracotail Pawn if I really need to. I don't think I even normal summon, but I gotta save my normal summon for Lucia, so I'm going to get Pawn, so I have a destruction based effect. And so I'm going to activate the effect of Urgla to put the Lucius into my hand, normal summon out the Lucius. Lucius can get me a second copy of 5 mana into hand, and therefore this sets up my board entirely. So I'm ready to play against my opponent. I can try to push for an OTK. I already burned my fusion effect here. If I want to get 1 additional fusion, I would probably have added instead maybe a Malulu so I can get the extra 2,000 damage to keep pushing. But all of this was illegal. Why? Because the first summon was not possible. If you guys didn't catch it, you would let the board get to this state. This is what I mean by, an illegal play is snowballing to a point where you basically get OTK'd. This is what I mean, because they have so much free stuff. It basically turned as a play that has almost nothing into a board that is more or less ready to OTK you. So how did it happen? Let's rewind a little bit. So this is the card that I drew for turn. This is the 5 mana that I already had. And of course there was the Magnema, and the card that was added was the Urgla. Even the card has been put away, so it's like really annoying, a big waste of time for people to kind of retrace their steps. But here we go. When we got to this particular point, activating 5 mana to fuse, do you see the problem that the materials here were illegal? Like, that's so easy to miss because, oh, they have a Dracotail and then they have another monster. So therefore they can fuse into, say, the Arthalion or the Gulamel. But the problem is, these monsters are more akin to Guardian Chimera and I guess Magnum the Reliever, more so than any other type of fusion, because they care about the position of where those cards were at. It cares about whether it's in the hand. And so because if you don't have a card in hand, you can't do it. And why the summon was illegal, let's just use Arthalion for an example here. This particular line has no fusion play, to my knowledge. Like, where are you seeing the fusion? because if you activated the Phimena, she's not in hand, so she's not part of the material. She doesn't give you the additional like set on the board. So you're fusing these two. Okay, so you have a card in hand, which is the Urgula. But then where's your Dracotail? If you use this as the Dracotail, then where's your card in hand? Like, the entirety of the summon from, say, the Dracotail line, only Dracotails on the field can kind of anchor the ones on the field. Otherwise, none of the monsters on the field can act as a Dracotail material because they do not fulfill any of its condition. It's not a monster in the hand, nor is it a Dracotail name. So if you use this as the Dracotail name, then this doesn't count as the monster in hand. If you use this as the monster in hand, then this doesn't count as the Dracotail name. So that entire fusion was illegal, but you can see how far it snowballed because each of these new archetypes from Justice Hunters, they pushed the envelope so far into building a board that can quickly OTK the opponent that there's like no time for recovery, and by the time you realize that hey, that fusion was illegal, you might have already lost the game and scooped up your cards. So if you're playing a meta deck, not likely the case, but if you're playing against a rogue deck, these are the things that you guys have to catch because you're gonna get punished so hard by not catching it. And sometimes people forget. Like, I'm like, why can't I fuse with this? Why can't I do this? And they're like, oh, it's because you don't actually have a name. But that's something that's really easy to forget, especially for someone that's not well versed in Dracotail. And Dracotail isn't the most popular archetype of the three. So yeah, take that away, if you will. This is the Greedy Paradise Smasher. So guys, my opponent is activating a Perulia on my draw phase. So they go draw phase Perulia, I'm hit with a card. And so my Izuna and, well, just my Izuna is really live right now. And same with my Lupus. But I don't want to summon too much from hand to give my opponent too many cards. But I have to at the very least summon out an Izuna. And it doesn't really matter that my opponent's drawing cards if they get stuck under a Paradise Smasher. So I'm activating the Izuna to special summon. My opponent draws one card. Activate the effect of Izuna. And I want to mitigate the amount of cards they have versus the amount of cards I have. So I'm going to put into the graveyard a Dracotail. Next, I activate the Lantern, targeting the Dracotail. Special summon both. Okay, and so my opponent draws another card for the Lantern, and then I'm going to activate both the Lantern and the Dracotail. Now, if I wasn't under like the Perulia, I probably would search for a Case of the Canine, but for now, this is going to go for the Izuna, so that I have something to react on my opponent's turn, and then I'm going to go for a Force Release, so I can get a Force Release, get another pop on the opponent's turn as well. And now I'm going to take all three of these and go into everyone's favorite Paradise Smasher. If you didn't catch the illegal play now is the chance to stop it, because if you let this play go too far and pass turn and you skip your turn back, that's like 2 turn passing back and forth, then likely it would become an accepted game state because 2 turns have passed. But yes, this entire summon is illegal. All it takes is a little bit of reading the card. The Dracotail and the Lantern, both of these, if you use their effects to summon themselves out, plus the other monster, both it and the monster it summons out cannot be used for a light attributed Xyz monster. And Paradise Smasher is literally a, well, light monster. You can see it right there. So that play was illegal. So that's why it's called the greedy one, because you wanted to dig out all the searches available before you kind of continued your play. I get it. It's a very powerful thing to do because you literally canceled out the 2 cards that they managed to draw into their hand, so you mitigated the card advantage that way, but that's not allowed. But what you technically can do, even with the same hand, you can still get to Paradise Smasher if you really wanted to. You're just not going to get the greedy level of it. So here's how you do it. So first of all, you go with the Izuna effect. So they still activated this. You special summon out the Izuna. Izuna has to dump Lupus into the graveyard. Lupus has a self-summoning effect, and this one doesn't actually lock you out. So this is a special summon. Get the Lupus into the grave. Lupus effect summon itself out, and then you can normal summon out your Lantern. So they already got 1 card from this, but you can still normal summon out the Lantern. Lantern effect, you can use this to dig for Case of the Canine if you need the extra interaction because you want another copy of Izuna. So you can just dig for this and then add this into your hand, so you can still kind of mitigate your hand a little bit there. And then because none of these are under the light restriction, now you can just take all 3 of these and make a Paradise Smasher. That's also possible if you want. It's better if you had a Dracotail, because Dracotail would have been able to directly add the Izuna, or you can use that to add like Lantern, for instance, and kind of get your monster that way. But this is the legal way of doing it, and my opponent still technically gets 2 cards because I normal summon out the Lantern. Lantern, Izuna, and Dracotail. All of these monsters, these 3 can normal summon as long as your opponent has 2 cards in their hand or more. So that's where the key difference is, that you have to burn your normal summon to do it. And some people forget that, hey, these guys have normal summon based effects, and they're like, oh man, I can't summon. They're looking at their hand as if like they don't have the combo in hand already. But just remember that the police looking ones, they are the ones that you can normal summon as long as your opponent has 2 cards, and they do not put you under that restriction. So that's how you do it legally, but it's less greedy. Pop quiz time! So there's a Nash Knight on the board, and it's activating its effect to detach to absorb the Gulamel. Okay, and so it succeeds and takes one of their own material, puts their material, and then gets the Gulamel. Does that Arthalion in the graveyard get to activate? That's the question. Player A, I'm player A. I'm saying, hey, I'm going to activate my Arthalion. I'm going to summon it out of the graveyard because you simultaneously put 2 monsters into the graveyard. Player B is like, hey, you can't do that. Those weren't monster cards. Those were Xyz materials, and Xyz materials do not count as monsters. I'm like, well, that's a good point. So they call a judge. One person argues that, under different dimension ground, if there's Xyz material that's supposed to hit the graveyard, they're monsters, but they hit the graveyard anyway because they're not considered as monsters. Makes sense. But I'm arguing, hey, but at the end of the day, when I'm checking for my trigger, I'm checking what got sent to the graveyard, and those are monster cards. So does it count? Does it count as fulfilling my condition? As a judge, what would you say? You have 3 seconds to answer this. 3, 2, 1. And the answer is, unfortunately for the Nash Knight player, the Dracotail will be able to summon out. There's even like a reference ruling on this, but essentially anything that's kind of checking for a trigger kind of checks at the end. So whatever that was sent to the graveyard, it retains its original card typing. So that technically was 2 monsters. Like when you send the 2 Xyz material, they're still technically monster cards. And so, but at the time on the field, they're not considered as monsters, so they hit the graveyard. But once they hit the graveyard, they're kind of turned back into monsters. And since I'm checking what was sent, this is now a monster card. Therefore, this will activate and summon back onto the field. And just to kind of add additional information to this, if a Nash Knight with 1 material attached to it or whatever, in the like Gulamel swings into it, sending both to the graveyard, the Xyz material and the monster, that's still considered as 2 monsters being sent to the graveyard, and Arthalion will summon out. I believe it's, when 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time. So it doesn't have to be a card effect. So that means by battle, it would also work for that. So that's how sometimes you get surprise OTK'd by your opponent. That's the answer. Yes, you can. But you can also just check with the head judge, because that one is kind of iffy, depending on how they interpret Xyz material and the grave trigger of Arthalion. Like, oh, it's still an Xyz material at the end. Like, well, that'd be kind of weird. That'd be kind of very different from the references that we have so far. But yeah, that's it. And that's it for the most common illegal plays so far. But if you guys have any additional questions, I guess you guys can leave it down in the comment section. I'll consider taking the time to answer it for you guys. Just make sure that you leave a very clear scenario if you guys need it answered. But please make sure you guys catch these. These are things that do snowball out of control. Getting accidentally Paradise Smashed, you get your turn skipped. Getting accidentally illegal summoned through a Dracotail board, you get accidentally OTK'd. And if you go into, I guess, a chain battle with Izuna and Lupus, well, you can just slow down and breathe. I don't think anything bad's gonna come out of it, but you don't want to accumulate too many warnings too early in the tournament to the point where you can get game lost and ruin your entire tournament run. So that's my tips for you guys. If you guys have anything more to add, hit the like button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. Check out MST.TV. These sleeves, they will be coming back in stock. I know you guys have been kind of spamming the email to hope that these sleeves will come back into stock. I'm hoping that they will arrive soon. If I have any extra, well, guess what? You guys can try to find me on break, and maybe I'll pass you guys some when I get the chance, or maybe catch me when I'm not working on the event that day. I think Friday is probably the best day when I'm not actually working. Yeah, well, that's all I have for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Check out MSTmerch.com. Check out Imperium Duelist for the Champions Aura, and I'll see you all in the next one.